Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues and students of the archives, today we delve into one of the most fascinating and subtle powers within this universe, the concept known as the voice. An ability honed to perfection by the mysterious and influential Bene Gesserit sisterhood, an order of women who have mastered the manipulation of their own physical and psychological processes to an extraordinary degree. Through the voice, these women exert influence and control, bending others to their will with nothing more than the modulated tones of their speech. Today we will unpack the voice's layers, examining its physiological basis, its psychological implications, and the ethical questions it raises. Let us begin our journey into the shadowed halls of power and persuasion with an open mind and a keen curiosity. So please, sit and listen closely. The sisterhood's mastery over one's own body reached a level of artistry that few outside their secretive circles could comprehend. This mastery extended far beyond physical control, enveloping the essence of their being and granting them abilities bordering on the supernatural. Central to these abilities was the voice, a tool of influence that modulated the frequency of spoken words to resonate deeply within the listener's subconscious. The voice was not a method of communication, but a channel through which the sisterhood could exert their will discreetly, yet decisively. It was typically employed for straightforward, unequivocal commands, such as "sit down" or "remain silent." These commands, simple on the surface, were imbued with an irresistible force that compelled obedience, often without the listener's conscious realization of being influenced. While the voice's potential was vast, possibly extending to long-term conditioning or the issuance of complex directives, the Bene Gesserit typically reserved such depths of manipulation for subtler, more pervasive strategies. Their preferred instruments of influence included the weaving of rumors and the strategic arrangement of marriages, methods that allowed them to shape the political landscapes without the overt exercise of power. The sisterhood's restraint in using the voice to incite violence or other drastic actions was a testament to their philosophy and understanding of power's true nature. Such overt displays were contrary to their methods, favoring subtlety and the long-term cultivation of influence. A Bene Gesserit could confidently assert the reach and might of their power, veiled though it might be behind the serene exteriors of their secluded schools. As one adept might chillingly reveal, "Whatever rumors you've heard about our schools, the truth is far greater. If I wished to destroy the Duke, you, or anyone within my reach, you could not stop me." This statement, both a declaration and a warning, encapsulated the essence of the Bene Gesserit. Their power was vast, their control absolute, and their presence a silent force shaping destinies with whispered words. When the world was still cloaked in the mysteries of nature and the unknown, primitive man observed with awe and curiosity the peculiar capabilities of animals to perceive sounds that escaped human ears. This observation suggested that while humans were confined to a specific auditory range, their vocal mechanisms were paradoxically capable of producing frequencies beyond their sensory reach. The prevailing theories of the pre-Butlerian era posited that hearing was a straightforward mechanical electrical process, suggesting that any acoustic stimulus falling within the detectable range of the human auditory apparatus would be perceived as sound. This simplistic view, however, left unexplained the curious phenomenon where sounds, imperceptible to the ear, could still invoke a neural response. It was not until the modern age, with its advanced scientific methodologies and the insights provided by the spice-infused visions of the Bene Gesserit, that the veil was lifted on this auditory paradox. The revelation came from the secret archives of the sisterhood, which had been hidden from the public eye until unearthed by contemporary researchers. These records illuminated the complexities of neural sensitivity that went beyond mere mechanical hearing, delving into how the human brain interacts with sound on a level previously unimagined. Thus, in the journey of understanding human perception of sound, from the rudimentary observations of ancient man to the sophisticated explorations of today's neuroscientists, we can see that the voice has two unique strands, the psychological and the physical. The physical skill of enacting one's voice is rooted in the mastery of one's physical self, focusing mainly on the sophisticated control of the laryngeal musculature. These women learn to modulate their voices in ways the untrained ear cannot detect nor comprehend by mastering their throat muscles. This mastery allows them to produce what is known as extra-perceptual auditory stimuli, sounds that exist beyond the upper limits of normal human hearing. While the average human ear can detect sounds up to 20,000 cycles per second, CPS, a trained adept of the sisterhood can generate vocal overtones that soar to an astonishing range of 25,000 to 35,000 CPS. Though invisible to most, these sounds carry the power to influence, command, and control. Under normal circumstances, human speech involves the tensioning of vocal folds, which modulate the airstream to produce sounds. This process includes the production of overtones, which typically extend up, albeit in a random manner, partially within the speaker's control. However, these overtones are neither random nor uncontrolled in the hands of a Bene Gesserit adept. Still, they are instead precisely calibrated instruments of power. Through their rigorous and relentless training, these women transform their voices into tools of subtle domination, using frequencies that slip past the conscious defense to speak directly to the subconscious mind. This art of vocal control is more than a technical skill. It embodies the Bene Gesserit's philosophy of power, subtle yet absolute, hidden yet omnipresent. In voice modulation, the nuanced interplay of overtones, combined with the resonating chambers of the pharyngeal, nasal, and oral cavities, distinguishes one voice from another. Each cavity acts as an amplifier, enhancing specific frequencies that contribute to the unique timbre of an individual's voice. A trained singer, for example, owes the richness and depth of their vocal expression to the presence of overtones of more than ordinary amplitude. These subtle variations create a rich vocalization that can be as distinct as a fingerprint. When it comes to mastering the voice, especially within the disciplines practiced by Bene Gesserit, the challenge lies in producing these complex overtones while maintaining the voice's fundamental pitch and loudness. The skill required here is profound, as each phoneme or unit of sound within a word demands a specific configuration of audible tones and those beyond ordinary human perception. This delicate balance between perceptual and extra-perceptual frequencies, the perceptual-extra-perceptual ratio, varies not just from one phoneme to another, but also according to its position within a word. Whether a sound is at the beginning, middle, or end of a word significantly influences how it must be modulated. Such precision ensures that the intended influence of voice is delivered subtly yet effectively, manipulating the listener's responses without their conscious awareness. Through this intricate technique, adepts of the Bene Gesserit can wield their voices as instruments of unseen power, affecting others with words that resonate on levels beyond ordinary hearing, yet profoundly impact behavior and perception. This mastery of vocal modulation is not merely a technical skill, but a profound manipulation of human interaction at its most fundamental level: communication. Extra-perceptual or psychological stimuli, those that delve into realms beyond our usual sensory experiences, have the intriguing capacity to activate what is known as the uncommitted zones of the auditory cortex. This phenomenon, often explored in the sterile environment of laboratories, utilizes high-frequency sounds, such as those emitted by certain whistles or animal calls, to probe the depths of auditory perception. Historically, the significance of tone in communication has been well documented across various cultures and languages from Old Terra, Arrakis, and Richeese. In these linguistic systems, the tone isn't merely a vocal embellishment, but a critical digital component of speech, conveying nuanced meanings that require a listener to understand the underlying code of the language. However, the phenomenon known as the voice, perfected by the sisterhood, operates on a fundamentally different principle. It does not require the listener to have prior knowledge or training in a specific linguistic code. Instead, the voice leverages these extra perceptual frequencies to tap directly into the subconscious, eliciting a nearly involuntary compulsion to obey in those who hear it. This aspect of voice transcends the digital nature of tone used in traditional languages. It is an analog tool that influences behavior directly through sound, bypassing rational thought and conscious resistance. Understanding how it achieves this direct command over an individual involves extensive speculation and theoretical analysis. The ability of a voice to register so profoundly on the receiver suggests a complex interplay of sound frequencies and neural processing that remains a subject of fascination. The practical applications and the subtle power it bestows upon its users make it a formidable tool in the arsenal of the speaker, worthy of both awe and in-depth exploration. In our past, the human race exhibited a level of auditory acuity that matched, and perhaps surpassed, many of the capabilities in the animal kingdom today. Our ancestors, equipped to detect high-frequency sounds, shared a sensory prowess with numerous creatures considered less advanced in other aspects. Over millennia, as human evolution forged paths that prioritized other senses and cognitive skills, this acute hearing ability diminished. Though no longer accessible to our conscious minds, the capability has not vanished entirely. It has merely receded into the depths of our unconscious. This latent skill lies dormant within certain segments of the auditory cortex, areas that are not inactive, but simply underutilized in our existence. Contrary to being uncommitted zones of neural activity, these areas are rich repositories of ancestral auditory knowledge. However, this information remains locked away and inaccessible to our direct conscious perception due to our species' evolutionary paths. It is a part of our racial memory, a relic of a more primordial past, where sound played a crucial role in survival and communication. The notion that such capabilities linger, unused in the recesses of our brains, invites fascinating speculation about what might be possible if we could unlock these dormant areas. The Bene Gesserit, through the mastery of techniques such as the voice, demonstrate a glimpse of how such forgotten powers might be harnessed. They tap into these ancient intrinsic faculties, suggesting that our ancestors' abilities still resonate within us, waiting to be reawakened and utilized anew. Scholars have delved deeply into the mysterious realm of auditory stimuli, uncovering that these subtle yet potent sounds make their mark on the human nervous system. This influence is exerted by stimulating specific regions of the auditory cortex, which intriguingly only relay information to the unconscious part of the brain. This route bypasses the conscious mind entirely, meaning that when messages delivered through the voice reach an individual, they do so without encountering the barriers of conscious reasoning or willpower. Thus, the person receiving these commands processes them subconsciously, leading to almost involuntary actions, as compliance with these commands requires no conscious decision. Adepts of the voice are trained to an exceptional degree in controlling and monitoring all neural and physical functions of their bodies. This self-mastery extends to their auditory capabilities, allowing them to perceive these high-frequency stimuli and actively produce them. This dual capability renders the sisterhood uniquely powerful in using voice, enabling them to command others effortlessly. Moreover, the skills that allow them to manipulate others through voice also shield them against similar manipulation. Their advanced control over their bodily and neural functions makes them nearly impervious to the voice commands of others. While they can wield this powerful tool to bend others to their will, they resist this form of control, standing as both the supreme wielders and the guardians against the influence of voice. This dichotomy highlights their power and their role as both influencers and gatekeepers in the delicate balance of control and resistance. Researchers deeply immersed in the Rakis project have unearthed fascinating insights into the cerebral mysteries once probed by the Bene Gesserit. Guided by the psychoactive properties of spice, these adept women had long ago discerned what modern science only recently named as force field boundaries within the human cortex, barriers identified by the legendary Sincadrin less than a century ago. These boundaries delineate the limits of conscious awareness and the deeper, uncharted realms of the mind. The field of psychology, with its inexhaustible quest to understand the human psyche, has perennially operated under the premise that the observable surface of consciousness barely scratches the veneer of the mind's true potential. This notion finds its roots in contemporary thought and the myriad beliefs and theories that have permeated human culture through the ages. Historically, only Muad'Dib and his descendants have been known to successfully navigate and utilize the inner voices that speak from beyond these cortical barriers. However, the seeds of such understanding have long been lost. To understand the impact of the voice, one must first consider its applications. At a basic level, the voice can compel an individual to perform immediate, simple actions, a utility that proves invaluable in negotiations, confrontations, and manipulations that require a swift resolution. However, its more sophisticated uses involve deep psychological manipulation, influencing decisions with far-reaching political and social order implications. The sisterhood, adept at understanding and manipulating the human psyche, uses the voice to guide, control, and sometimes destabilize key figures and factions within the Imperium. For example, a Bene Gesserit might use the voice to influence a political leader's decision subtly, steering entire planets or star systems toward outcomes beneficial to the Sisterhood's cryptic objectives. This could involve the escalation or de-escalation of conflicts, the formation of alliances, or the implementation of policies. One of the most notable public acknowledgements of the power of the voice came during interactions between key political figures and Sisters of the Order. During these high-stakes meetings, recorded and analyzed by historians and political scientists, subtle shifts in policy and power alignments often followed sessions where the voice was known to have been employed. These changes were typically attributed to the persuasive power of argument or the charisma of the individuals involved. Still, those familiar with the capabilities of the sisters understood the deeper manipulations at play. The ethical implications of using the voice are complex. On one hand, it represents a breach of free will, a manipulation so deep that it leaves the subject unaware of their compulsion. On the other hand, it is a tool of governance and control that, in the hands of the powerful, aims to maintain stability and order within the galaxy, a noble goal, albeit pursued through questionable means. The voice is emblematic of how power operates within our universe, not always through overt force, but through individuals' nuanced, often invisible manipulations. For the Bene Gesserit, it is a cornerstone of their influence, allowing them to shape galactic events without ever revealing the extent of their involvement. As scholars of history, our role is to peel back the layers of these subtle dynamics to understand the events of our time and the unseen forces that drive them. In this way, the voice is not only a tool of control, but also a symbol of the hidden depths of power,